Hey guys, Jessica Siobhan here. I'm going to show you how to shade. I always start with a 2H pencil. You can see that I'm sketching out my lines with my 2H. And when I'm drawing that box, I'm locking my wrist and using my elbow. And now when I'm drawing my shapes, I always start with the outside of the shapes. You can see that I'm turning my sketchbook upside down and back around again. I'm looking at the negative space when I'm sketching out at first, still using that 2H. The negative space is that black area in the background, so I'm really looking at the background to kind of get my shapes right. Now I like to start with my 2H because it's the lightest pencil, so we have 2H, HB, 2B, and so on. The 2H is going to be the lightest of this set. They do get lighter as you go down the line, but I like to start with that 2H. It's just the lightest. If I make any mistakes, I can erase very easily when I use my 2H. It's a lighter graphite. It's actually a hard graphite, so it kind of resists against the paper. If you press too hard with your 2H, it will indent. So this is the order: 2H, HB, 2B, 3B, 4B, 6B, so on. And I kind of like to think of it as negative numbers. So the HB is in the middle, that's your number 2 pencil, and then as you go further down, that's your 2H, and it goes down to 4H, 6H, and they get lighter and lighter, and then as you go higher in the Bs, they get darker. So here I'm using my 6B, which if I'm thinking of HB, 6B is going to be dark, 8B is going to be even darker. And I'm using my 8B to get the shadows in, just the darker areas. And right there I'm using the HB, so I've kind of shaded with my 2H. Now I'm going in with my HB, just trying to keep everything really light at first, but I'm really going to darken things in a minute. I like to put a little dark area just to use as a comparison, and you could barely see right there, but instead of, when I erase, instead of wiping it with my hands, I use a little brush because the oils on your fingers will get all over this and smudge and just make things look kind of gross. So I'm also very careful. You see I have a note card next to me. I'm resting my hand on that note card just to keep the oils from my hands away from the paper. I mean, if you're like me, I don't have really sweaty hands, but I mean, we all have kind of sweaty hands at some point, so yeah. So, and also I think I was eating an apple snack in between breaks, so I think I had sticky hands too. And so yeah, I'm just cruising along here, turning it upside down. I'll turn it right side up again, but when you turn it upside down, it kind of tricks your brain to see things differently. Now I'm using that 2B, I'm getting a little darker, so I like to gradually get darker. So with pencil, it's great to start light and then go dark, because it's really hard to erase things once you've gotten really dark. So if I just really press in and use an H or a 8B, that's going to be really hard to erase. Also with that 2H, you don't want to press down too hard with your lighter pencils that have a harder lead, because that will indent the paper, and then you'll have like a little indentation of the paper, and when you go to shade, you'll see your marks when you use your softer pencils. So I like to use my 2H as a blender. Don't use your fingers. Never ever use your fingers as a blender. Like I said, they're sweaty, they're oily, they just make things look gross, so don't use your finger. I like to tell my students that using your finger to blend is kind of like plastic surgery. Like, you think it looks good, but we all know you did it, right? So if anything, and this is for if you've been drawing a long time, then I might suggest using like a brush or a Q-tip to blend, but something that doesn't have a lot of oil. I think this is a 2B, I'm pretty sure. So you can see I'm just building up those shadows. A lot of novice artists, they either draw too dark or they draw too light. So if you are someone who tends to draw light, don't be afraid to darken things up. Those different tones, those dark shadows are what really makes things pop. And you can see I'm going around here and I'm starting to outline things. Another trick is no lines, just shadows. So when you're thinking hyperrealism, there are no lines, it's all shadows. So if you see a line, you can ask yourself, why do I see this line? Like, I see a line under my egg, and by that handle, and I'm outlining things now, but notice how I'm blending that out with my 8B and causing that dark shadow in the back, and that gets rid of my lines. So now I'm going in on that egg, and I'm pressing down, and not too hard. I mean, you never really want to just shove that pencil down, but I'm using a bit of pressure, and I don't think this is an 8B that I'm using right now. It's probably a 2B. There I go with my 2H. And I'm using my 2H once again as a blender, not my fingers. But once you get that soft B lead as a foundation, you can use that harder 2H lead pencil to use as your blender, and it'll push that graphite around and into the crevices of your sketchbook paper. So use your 2H as a blender. Now I'm using my 4B just to give 4B a chance. I don't use 4B too often. Then you got to be careful with that 8B too, because 8B gets excited and likes to make things really dark. So you got to have tell your 8B to calm down. But I'm using my 8B right now, and just making sure I've got those really dark darks and white whites. And if your paper is white, then don't add any shadow or highlight. Just leave it alone. All right, thanks you guys. I hope you found that relaxing and helpful. I go live every Monday and I upload weekly.